to add on to the I know everything video. Usually the reason why people are afraid to admit they do not know something is because they suffered severe punishment. They were bullied severely. They were bullied severely, made to feel stupid over any little thing. That's why they're so afraid to admit. They're so afraid of looking stupid because they were, usually that stems from being highly bullied. A lot of times it's by the parents. Parents are often some of our biggest bullies. That's why they're so afraid to admit fault. They're so afraid of being called stupid. Any little mistake they made did not fly without being made to feel like you're not this, you're less than this big. Being made to feel like you should just be thrown into a dumpster because you made a little mistake. That kind of severe overuse of force punishment. That's why they're so afraid of looking stupid, because all that self-hate, just feeling like everyone wants you in a dumpster. Everyone wants me to just crawl into it. Everyone wants to just throw me into that. Everyone wants me inside of a dumpster. That's the way they make you feel. And also they usually drink, and when you add substances to those horrible self-hate feelings, it starts to become like a psychosis, delusional psychosis, when you add the drinking and the drugs to all that repressed trauma. That's why it seems like, because there is. That's when it crosses the threshold, the chemicals get into that highly traumatized brain, and it makes it much worse. And it gets to a level of psychosis, delusions. That's why people are like that, because they suffered severe punishment and were highly bullied. What they really need is love. But the horrible paradox is the way it affects the behavior repels love, because it's very difficult to remain calm around. People don't want to be around it because it's literally damaging their mentality. This is literally eating my brain away. I must get away from it. So it makes you want to leave. It makes you want to distance yourself. And that makes them worse. It makes them want to drink more because now they're lonely. It's meh. Like it takes humility like this to hang around. So why are people so afraid of admitting they don't know something? Why are they so afraid to accept any blame for anything? That is why. Because they are so sometimes involved physical abuse. You messed up. It was that bad. Of course they're angry. You got your rear end beat all the time for any little thing. Any little thing you did. Of course they're angry. Anyone would be angry, especially if they're taught to deny it. I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna beat you and you're not allowed to get mad about it. That's the tradition. It's highly psychologically damaging. This is why they're so afraid of any negativity coming at them their way, in any way, shape, or form. Because of the fear. So it takes tremendous patience. However, if there's physical abuse, you don't have to take that. Ever, okay? Ever. You do not have to take physical abuse. A lot of people are putting up with physical abuse, and you don't need to be. I know you are. I know a lot of people are putting up with physical abuse, getting beat on all the time. Get out of that. Get out of it. Whatever you have to do, get out of it. I know what's going on. I know what's going on. So, get out of it. Even if you don't allow it to escalate to that situation anymore, you're still going to be nervous all the time that it might get to that point again. You still can't relax. Okay, I got this under control. I'm just not going to make them mad. No. You're still going to be living with your heart like this all the time. You got to leave. You got to get out. You cannot live under the same roof with the person. So, you don't have to flee right now, but start making plans. Making plans. Live like that. It's going to destroy your brain and your heart and your lungs. It's going to destroy all your organs. All that nervousness and stress. Not breathing correctly. Being frozen up all the time. Frozen up in fear and anger. It's just awful, all of it. Like every negative emotion in the book. It's flowing through you all day long. You can't live like that way. You cannot live that way. You have to leave. You do not have it under control. It is not controllable. Leave. Stuff in bag. Leave. To safety. Safety, where you can relax, where you can sit down and relax. Not have to worry about who's going to be coming up to you. You're safe. You're relaxed. That's what your lungs need, and your heart, and your mind. This is what they cannot do. Relaxing is exactly what they cannot do. That's why they're angry. They cannot relax. That's why they drink. They're trying to avoid the relaxation. And that's what they need to do, is relax. And get sober. You always have to ask, why are they acting like this? Why am I acting like this? And why is this person acting like this? Why? That's why. They are highly traumatized, under the influence, and they're taking it out on you. Period. Simple as that. Traumatized, under the influence, taking it out on you. So confusion leads to frustration when you don't understand. When you start to understand is when the calmness comes. And you go from this to that kind of just when you realize you have no control. That's when your heart kind of settles. You know, when your heart settles. Your mind and your heart settles when you realize you have no control. Because this is why it happens. When you're confused, you still think you can control it. Asking why can't they just admit what they did? Why? You're still confused. You don't know why. When you start to know why won't they admit? They can't. They can't. Because they can't. Their mind will not allow them. The trauma and the chemicals are controlling their brain, and it has not. It's a lifetime of not admitting fault. a piece of jewelry all the time, sleep in it all the time, you've been wearing it for weeks, months, whatever, and then you finally take it off. And you still want to reach and grab for it sometimes because you still feel like it's there. Whatever, but it's not there. You've been wearing it so long, you're just so used to adjusting it or whatever. And you keep reaching for it, it's not there. That is the frustrated explanation that way. It's not there. It's just, this is what it is. Once you realize it's not there, oh yeah, it's not there. Okay. It's not there, so why am I chasing it? You're not gonna get the apology you want. You're not gonna get the type of acknowledgement that you would give somebody else. You're not gonna get that because it's not a normal situation. You can't expect normality from an abnormal situation. And once you realize that, you can calm down. It is very important to look at the other person's trauma. No, people don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. People don't want to do that. All we want to do is dehumanize them, to justify our anger and our unforgiving. I can't forgive them because they're not human. The fact is, they are human. They are human. They're absolutely human. No dehumanizing. And once you begin to understand why it is happening, then the resentment will stop eating it away at you so much. You do not need them to acknowledge anything because they can't. Realize that you do not need anything from another person. Give everything you need to yourself. Validate yourself. Okay, this person does not want to admit that they are wrong. Okay, so I need them to admit? I guess not. Okay, move along. It cannot be controlled. Trying to control what they are thinking. Can't let go of the control. Why am I getting mad because this person's not agreeing with me? I'm getting mad because you're not agreeing with me. Okay, fine, I don't need you to agree with me. Why do I need them to agree with me? I don't. I know better. They don't want to agree with me? Okay. And then you let go. Just be glad that you know better. And what did I learn? What was my fault here? Letting it aggravate me. Why am I always an aggravator? Because I'm trying to control. I'm trying to control someone else, not myself. Anytime you're trying to control someone else, you're not looking at yourself. You're not being humble. So get back, put the mirror back on yourself. They're them. They have their own mind. Why am I crawling on the floor trying to control your mind? Who cares? You know. I'm just gonna do me, and if you like it, cool. If not, there's nothing I can do about that. Why do we feel the need to fix other people? Why do we feel the need to fix other people? It's a distraction from having to work on ourselves. Anytime you're trying to fix someone else, you're not trying to fix yourself. And there's plenty of home improvement to do, right? There's never ending home improvement to do, right? Never ending. As soon as you fix something, it uncovers something else that needs to be worked on. Right? You're trying to work on someone else's house or your own house. When you're trying to get them to accept their fault, you're working on their house, not your own house. So go home. Go home. Let's all go home.